And as we predicted yesterday, the United States Senate has failed to codify the right to abortion for Americans yet again. The Women's Health Protection Act failed to pass a threshold vote in the Senate that would have opened debate. The act would have enshrined the protections offered by the 1973 landmark Roe Vs Wade Supreme Court decision into federal law for the first time. But it didn't happen, halted in its tracks by a final vote of 49 to 51. All Republicans voted no, along with Democrat Senator Joe Manchin of conservative-leaning West Virginia, while the rest of the Democrats voted yes. The outcome of the vote was never in doubt, given the 50-50 split in the US Senate and the deep partisan divide that exists over abortion rights.
On this vote, the yeas are 49, the nays are 51. 3/5 of the Senate.
Sadly, the Senate failed to stand in defense of a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. And let's be clear, the majority of the American people believe in defending a woman's right, her choice, to decide what happens to her own body. And this vote clearly suggests that the Senate is not where the majority of Americans are on this issue.
But the Senate session exposed a deep bipartisan divide. Both the Democrats and Republicans portrayed each other as extremists, and the debate grew passionate as lawmakers contemplated the demise of a right that has existed for nearly half a century and one of the most divisive issues in American society.
Madam President. Majority Leader. On this vote, 3/5 of the senators.
Today it will be Roe. Tomorrow it will be a national ban on abortion. And beyond that, something even more dreadful. We cannot allow this shameful backslide to happen. We cannot allow the whims of MAGA Republicans to bully the rest of the country into submission.
Where's the compassion? Where's the humanity? Where's the attempt to understand that the majority of Americans want there to be prohibitions on abortions at some point in the pregnancy?
We're not living in a hypothetical anymore. We are staring a post-Roe world in the face, and the time to act is now. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle have also made it clear. If they regain control of this chamber, they will pass a national ban on abortion rights.
It's the Abortion on Demand Act, without restrictions, without limitations. It promotes abortion at a scale far beyond Roe versus Wade and far beyond what the vast majority of the American people are comfortable with.
And so to WION's correspondent Susan Tehrani joining us again live from New York City. Susan, we predicted it yesterday, spot on. We knew this was always going to be a futile effort by Democrats to try and enshrine the protections for abortion rights into federal law. And yet the Democrats still seem to think that this was a worthwhile endeavour.
Absolutely. And as we talked about a little bit yesterday, first of all, it's to really rave up the voter base on the one hand, because they wholeheartedly believe that this is a first step to the ballot box. And it makes sense. You know, it's a popular issue among many Americans, and they see it as an issue where the more they're vocal about it, the more they basically yell and scream about it, the more attention it will garner. And as you know, a political strategist always say, when you see politicians talk about something more, it means that it is a winning issue for them. And when they don't talk about it at all, then you know that's a sign that they it's a losing issue for them. And this issue of abortion really is something that the majority of Americans, at least, favor somewhat the Democratic position. But then on the other hand, establishment Democrats for years, at least in recent years, have taken a beating from progressives and many other Democrats and constituents that they've abandoned their voter base and they're not doing enough. They're not fiery enough, for example, like individuals that have come in, for example, AOC and others. So this was perhaps even on a personal level Chuck Schumer's opportunity to show that he does have, that gravitas, so to say, to go up and fight for something like this. But then there are Republicans and also, moderates like Joe Manchin and his own party that just don't allow for something like this to go through. But it doesn't mean Chuck Schumer did not try.
Now, we saw abortion rights protesters on the steps of the Supreme Court last week chanting, "Do something, Democrats." At this point, is there anything else the Democrats can try to do, or does the country just have to wait for that Supreme Court opinion, if the draft opinion is indeed to be the final opinion, to be officially promulgated?
What's interesting is since that draft opinion had been leaked, both sides of the aisle, mostly Democrats, have spent something around $3 million on political ads, which is the highest in recent years on the issue of abortion. On the one side, the Republican is up for Senate saying that abortion is murder, trying to garner their supporters, and then, Democrats on the other hand, like Gavin Newsom, for example, in California even having one of the most liberal laws on abortion, going, very far as saying we will not go back, vote Democrat, and so on and so forth. So the campaigning and the political ads that are coming out is something that they're continuing with, despite the fact that we really don't have a final outcome, and we probably won't until the end of June and early July. But yes, we will have to wait and see whether or not this is a definitive answer on the part of the Supreme Court, but that has not stopped, mostly Democrats from continuing their activism regarding this issue. It's just yet to be seen, whether or not it'll work or not, because we have to bear in mind the majority of the country is not on extremes on either side of the abortion debate. They're somewhat in the middle.
And of course, the hunt for the source of the leak continues. That could be an interesting story to keep an eye on. WION's Susan Tehrani, live for us again on the streets of New York. Thanks very much indeed for that.